Hello, future Red Hawks. My name is Mrs. Spano, and I'm here to show you some simple science experiments that you can do from home since we can't be together at science camp at Marist this summer. So all you're going to need for this simple experiment is a balloon, some vinegar, some baking soda. This is lab. We ordered this from a lab supply company. And so your baking soda is going to look pretty different. It might be in a little yellow box by like Arm & Hammer, something like that. So you need some vinegar, some baking soda, a balloon, and then something that you will be able to put the balloon on. So you could use, I'm going to use an Erlenmeyer flask. You could use a water bottle or something that you're going to be able to get the mouth of the balloon over. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put some vinegar in our flask. Depending on how big what you're using, like the water bottle is or whatever it is you're going to use, I'm using a lot of vinegar because I'm using a 500 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask. If you're just using a water bottle, you might be able to put less vinegar in there, okay? So then I'm gonna fill my balloon very carefully with baking soda. There's actually a scoopula in here, so I'm gonna use a little scoop. You can maybe use a spoon. This might be a little messy because baking soda is powdery. I'm going to put some baking soda in there. I'm going to get a little bit more in there. That was one big scoop. Two big scoops, maybe a little more. And before I begin, I am going to put my goggles on. And because you guys are little, make sure that you have parental supervision, okay? Make sure that there's a parent helping you navigate through this. Just like my students when they're in the lab, a teacher always has to be present. So when you're home, make sure your parents are present. Let's put a little bit more in here. Okay, now I think I'm set. Okay, anybody know what's gonna happen? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put this balloon, now there's baking soda in here. The baking soda is not mixing with the vinegar yet. The very first part is I'm gonna get the mouth of the balloon over the mouth of the flask, okay? Then I have to put my goggles on before the chemical reaction takes place. So mixing baking soda and vinegar is going to start a chemical reaction. You're going to know that it's going to start a chemical reaction because there's going to be a few things that become apparent. So let's see what happens when we mix the baking soda and the vinegar. Let me straighten this out a little bit. I went to stand back a little because the balloon could pop depending on how much gas is produced. That's why goggles are super important and parental supervision is super important as well. So I can tell my reaction's dying down because the bubbles are starting to die down. And if you're doing this and you have siblings at home, you could each do an experiment and you could try varying amounts of baking soda and vinegar and see whose balloon could get the biggest, if you want to make a competition out of it. So this is the chemical reaction between baking soda and vinegar. And it's clear a gas was produced that inflated my balloon, right? It was cool to see the chemical reaction happen. So in chemical reactions, new substances are formed. And again, if you didn't have a balloon and you wanted to do just a variation of this experiment, you could just mix a teeny bit of baking soda with a teeny bit of vinegar and stir it up with a toothpick and you could watch it fizz. Okay, you wouldn't be trapping the gas. The gas would just escape in the air, which is fine. But it would be cool to see it fizzle. So if you don't have a balloon, you could try that. You can make a competition out of it. There's so many fun things you can do when you are trapping a gas that is produced.